Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys and offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by J.P. Morgan Chase, a partner in financial planning. Looking ahead to retirement, growing your business, or for commercial banking, J.P. Morgan Chase offers advice and solutions tailored to individual needs and client well-being. More information is at jpmorganchase.com. And by Luba Workers' Comp, a regional insurance carrier dedicated to providing reliable workers' compensation coverage to employers and workers in 13 states across the Southeast. With personalized service, trusted expertise, and tailored solutions, Luba helps businesses protect what matters most. Discover more at lubawc.com.
From Tsunami Sushi in downtown Lafayette, we're out to lunch with Christian Mader, editor and publisher of The Current. It's business Acadiana style.
Welcome to Out to Lunch. I'm Christian Mader. For every entrepreneur, the fantasy of owning your own business is about being in control of your own destiny. And so for a lucky few, that pays off with the job and lifestyle of your dreams. And one way to get there is to help other folks fulfill their own fantasies, or maybe even one, at least temporarily. The fantasy might be waltzing through an evening of elegance in the gown of your dreams, or hobnobbing with trolls while you nosh, maybe on a turkey leg. If the latter is your cup of mead, you might venture to Ville Platte for the Acadiana Renaissance Faire, co-founded by my guest, Blanche Boudreau. Blanche is also the fair's creative director. She grew up going to Ren Fairs as a teenager and leapt at the chance to get involved with one as an adult when she volunteered to help some friends get the Acadiana Ren Faire started. She and her husband were pulled in as part owners, and they debuted the Acadiana Ren Faire in 2021. It's since grown from a rented field to a full-on fantasy village in Ville Platte, complete with trolls, pirates, and fairylands. Blanche is also a licensed practical nurse by day, but her passion for storytelling and spectacle is what fuels her side hustle. Blanche Boudreau, welcome to Out to Lunch.
Thank you.
If Blanche helps you live your fantasy, then Annie Bonaventure helps you dress for it. Annie is the co-owner of Bella Bridesmaids in Lafayette, part of a national franchise offering a curated boutique experience for weddings and formal events. She bought it into the business in 2021 after being a customer herself and realizing she loved the business model. Bella Bridesmaids prides itself as an all-in-one shop. Bridal parties can get the whole crew styled for the rehearsal dinner to the after party. And the company also boasts a virtual showroom that allows wedding parties to share favorites, order online, and get reminders. Annie's background is in cosmetology and wedding and hair makeup, so stepping into the bridal fashion industry felt like a natural next step. Annie Bonaventure, welcome to Out to Lunch.
Thanks for having me.
So, Blanche, I want to ask this question sensitively. You're a self-described nerd.
Yes.
Okay. And Ren Fairs would seem like products for nerds. But like nerds have a lot of niches within them, right? Like
Yes.
You can't just say, well, it's good for nerds, right? There's sci-fi nerds, there are fantasy nerds. I'm a guitar nerd. So like, is a Ren Fair really designed just to appeal to folks who are sort of like into fantasy, like kids that grew up doing Dungeons and Dragons, or does it have a wider appeal?
In my opinion, it does have that wider appeal because I have had people come to Ren Fairs in their Star Trek gear, in
Sure.
Star Wars dress up,
Yeah.
anything and everything. Anime nerds come in dressed as their favorite characters
Yeah.
in Ren Fair gear. Like, it's a little bit for everybody, really and truly.
Well, and like when I think about the kind of things that often happen at Renaissance fairs, it does feel like there's this mixture of, history elements. Like you might literally have a guy doing like a blacksmith demonstration or something like that. But then if you have these other sort of like play fantasy type elements, it seems less historical in nature. I mean, I guess I'm curious, like, why do they even call it a Renaissance fair instead of, say, like a fantasy fair or something along those
Well,
lines?
they do have fantasy fairs, but we're calling it the Renaissance of Acadiana. So
Okay.
really and truly, we're trying to bring in all the different cultures that have come together and make Acadiana what it is. Believe it or not, we were in the pirate era in the late 1700s. We had pirates, we had Vikings or voyageurs, like we called them, the people who come in and bring their culture. So Louisiana really is a mixture of anything and everything you could think of, from the Romani people to the Acadians that came from Nova Scotia. So we just try and bring a little bit of everything into it. Right now is kind of a discombobulated pool of people because we're only 5 years in
Sure.
So we don't have a big structure, but our plans are to make it about Acadiana and revolving it all around that.
That's interesting. I mean, Annie, speaking of sort of wide appeal, being in any sort of like retail or, fashion design, that kind of thing, I would think that like your biggest challenge is basically inventory, right? Like you're running a seasonal business. But is the advantage of buying into, say, a franchise model is that you get to worry less about the warehousing? Like you can have sort of access to sort of a wide inventory of styles, but you don't have to have like some big building where you actually pull the dress out and like swap them out. Talk to me a little bit about how you just like plan what's in stock.
Okay, so this was probably one of the better reasons that we bought into this business was because it's a cash flow or cash positive flow for the business, meaning that we don't place the orders for any of the inventory until the customer places the order.
Oh, wow.
So that alleviates a lot of the pressure and that overhead that's just sitting there. But as far as like the designers, they're putting out, seasonal stuff coming out like fall, spring, and we choose according to the region. So South is like a little bit more like elevated, versus maybe, let's say, California, that's like more of like a casual beachy vibe.
Yeah.
We kind of pick our inventory based on, what our client wants.
Yeah. So, does that mean you're, like, when you say South, like, is your region, your market just Lafayette, or are you trying to reach outside of Lafayette? Talk to me about who you're trying to get into the shop.
Well, really, South Louisiana. There is another location in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and they service those areas. But, we really are pulling from Lake Charles, Shreveport, mid-Louisiana. So, you know, all of Louisiana.
Yeah. Blanche, something that I've kind of wondered about how you actually put one of these fairs together, right? Like, you started one from scratch. And, like, I'm thinking about the things that people often, I've been to Ren Fairs, enjoyed them, but like I wouldn't know where to find, say, and I don't know why I'm harping on this blacksmith thing, but a blacksmith, for instance, or like people who know how to ride horses. Like there are some very specific skills that go into presenting. Like, where do these people come from?
Louisiana. We actually have a blacksmithing guild in Louisiana, and so you just have to look for the contacts and basically reach out to the right people. I'm not even gonna lie, a quick Google search of what's around Louisiana in our area, and we find them. Actually, our main blacksmithy, Blackhand Smithy, or the village smithy, lives about maybe 20 minutes from the fairgrounds. And we actually met him playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Cool. Are most of these folks like just doing this? Like, you referred to this earlier, like they have muggle jobs?
Yes, muggle jobs.
Right, they have muggle jobs, and then I'm guessing, what's the opposite of the muggle job? Is it the Harry Potter job? Like, what would you call that?
Just the Rennie world.
The Rennie world? So, do you have people that like are doing Rennie jobs full time, or most people doing it as sort of like a hobby or something like that?
No, there is a Ren Faire circuit that we've met a lot of people on. Some of our entertainers are on it. Raven and Wolf, our Raw performance troupe, they do it full time. They go from one Ren Fair to another and perform their fire act.
Their fire act.
The fire act. And he's also a smithy as well. He makes handmade blades and stuff.
Yeah. Annie, I'm a little curious about how the sort of the relationship between, say, the franchise brand and the products that are in it. So, like, is the bridal boutique selling, say, Bella Bridesmaids branded gowns or dresses? Are you carrying different items from different fashion houses? How is that actually populated? How are you thinking about that?
So how the franchise plays into it is they're the ones that got the list of designers that we choose from. So because they have stores from all over, when the designers agree to work with us, we're getting basically like better pricing. We're getting we're getting priority, basically status with the list of designers. And from that list, that's who we choose from for inventory.
So you're basically still having to curate a
Correct.
selection for your audience, so to speak.
Yes.
So as you've gotten into that, what have you found maybe women in this area are looking for specifically? I'm just sort of curious always, like, and especially in a franchise environment, how like different bridesmaids boutiques, right, are actually seeing, so like one in Lafayette versus Baton Rouge maybe,
Yes,
or one in Lafayette
yes.
versus Atlanta or whatever it
And
might
it
be.
does change. It's kind of what I was talking about a little bit earlier, was that, like you said, if you go to one that's in a different state, you're going to find a different selection than maybe
Sure.
what we have, just
Yeah.
because, our top designers here that are selling are Desi, Sala, Lula Kate. She's out of South Carolina. She's huge right now. She's got great fabrics, and people, I think, or the brides and just women wanting formal gowns are drawn to like that style,
Sure.
in particular.
Yeah. I mean, Blanche, I kind of have a similar question for you, which is like Renaissance Fair, I think for folks who maybe aren't as initiated, probably has like a single vision, like a thing that people think, I'm going to go to a Renaissance Fair. This is what I'm going to get. You've talked a little bit already about what makes yours sort of localized, right? Like you got sort of this drawing this connection to peoples who came to this area. But like, are there specific, let's say, like customer demands that you have to attend to? People are coming in and saying like, I really want to see this at a Ren Fair. Where is it?
Well, of course, you always want the turkey legs. Everybody comes to a Ren Fair, they want a
Sure.
turkey leg. We
Yeah.
have those.
Why is it that like turkey legs is the thing that we associate sort of in terms of medieval cuisine? I mean,
Well, when you think of a medieval king, what are they eating? A giant turkey leg with their bare hands. I
sure.
mean, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. All
Yeah.
right.
I don't know why, but it is.
Okay. It feels like one of those things that's probably factually inaccurate, that like kings were actually just keeping turkeys as pets.
Maybe.
And they weren't actually eating them. Yeah, all right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that, and mainly like the smithies, people like that, and you always have to have the throwing axes, throwing knives, archery. People demand those.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's mainly it, and the gear. A lot of people come to Ren Fairs to buy Ren Fair gear to dress up to go to other Ren Fairs.
So, sort of with the circuit, right? Like I know often, like say if you're starting a franchise, like folks will go to say a trade show and they'll sort of buy and let me look at. I really am interested in buying a franchise and I want to know how they run, and you can test different things out. I mean, is there a place where you can go to learn how to run a Ren Fair? Like, is there like a Ren Fair trade show where you figure out like these are the kinds of stalls you need? Here's how to properly, sharpen a throwing axe. I mean,
Well, it's to find the vendors that do those things. And really how we learned was by going to different fairs, looking at what they have, and between our own ideas and kind of combining those. We've had a few fairs actually invite us to the backstage areas of how they do their morning meetings and organize everything. And we really appreciate that, because we really came into this not knowing anything. We were just there. We started out just helping. I was making a kids area for kids to go down a ferry trail in the
Okay.
beginning.
Yeah.
So yeah, just exploring. It's go to one, go to another one, go to the different states. That's the only way you can really figure it out.
I mean, Annie, do you have much independence? I mean, in terms of like wanting to go back to the brand and say like, look, people are really gravitating to this brand, and I see it another designer that's doing something similar, maybe at a different price point. I mean, is there much back and forth between you as a franchisee and the house brand about like, I guess, modulating or modifying what
Yeah.
you're doing to fit your actual customer?
Absolutely. Like that's probably we're able to talk to the owners of the franchise a lot, and that communication there is very open. For example, Something Borrowed Blooms that's here in Lafayette, we put them in touch with the franchise as a way to get them in and kind of like collab with them.
Sure.
As far as like designers and say like shoes or something that we know, look, people are coming in, they're wanting to slip some shoes on, they probably are going to buy them, let's get them in. They're totally open to that.
Yeah. I mean, what would you say then is sort of the through line? Like, so when you're talking to the owners of the franchise and they're saying, well, this is sort of the boundary we got to stay in to make
Yeah.
sure that this feels like a Bella's Bridesmaids operation. So like sort of almost asking like, what is it that makes it a Bella Bridesmaids brand, right? If you got different clothes that you can choose from, the designers are different or whatever, like what's the through line?
That would probably be up to Erin.
Yeah.
Like Erin, she's a franchise owner, and
Sure.
everything goes through her. So,
Okay.
I mean, I would say probably something that's going to appeal to the majority of the country.
Sure.
which that's a huge audience,
Yeah.
you know, so, or even just a major part of the country, you know,
Sure.
so if it's going to hit and be successful in the, you know, southern, eastern area, and you have, let's say, 34 stores there, that could be, you know, an automatic yes to possibly bringing something in.
How many like Bellas are there across the country? I mean, how big is the
There's 45 plus. There's
Okay.
always like one, you know, about to open.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. You're listening to Out to Lunch. Christian Mader. I'm talking with Annie Bonaventure, co-owner of Bella Bridesmaids, and Blanche Boudreau, creative director of the Acadiana Renaissance Faire. Blanche, we're talking a bit about being sort of a creative director, right? And so maybe talk to me just a little about what that entails. I mean, are you thinking about it more in terms of specific exhibits? Is it taking the overall theme or feel of the fair?
It kind of encompasses a few different things. I do coordinate the entertainment. I'm in charge of making sure we have our bands and our performers and all of that. But I also decorate a lot, making the gathering areas, making sure it's all appropriate to that theme for that weekend, put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, is there something that's sort of like off limits for Renaissance Fair? Like, I think you're like, you know what? That's too Enlightenment era. I mean, like what's the thing that you could bring in and say, like, you just can't do that at a Renaissance Fair? People would kind of be like, this doesn't belong here.
I've never been limited at a Renaissance Fair.
Is that sort of the point? I mean, that you could just do, like, you could be yourself? I mean, is that sort of the vibe?
If you can make it time appropriate, you can just about do anything.
Oh, so I feel like I have to ask a stupid question. Like, when we talk about, are we literally talking about the Renaissance as in, like, that era?
Most
When you say
Renaissance
time appropriate.
Yes,
Yeah.
most Renaissance fairs are from a certain time period in history during the Renaissance in Europe.
Okay.
Ours, we just kind of twisted it a little bit.
I was about to say, like the 17th, 18th century, you're kind of pushing the boundary into what's
so
considered Renaissance Fair.
Ours, we started around 1799, but it's actually a little before, a little after that.
Okay.
When Acadiana was first formed, and the first Mardi Gras is basically one of our major themes. We always end our last weekend as a Mardi Gras theme, and eventually we want to incorporate some teaching, learning aesthetics in that, where we'll have a Cajun village and all of that. So ours is just the time period of when Acadiana was formed.
So you were able to sort of set the era. It's like our Renaissance Fair is about this date to this date, roughly speaking.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Yeah, got it. So Annie, I am sort of curious. I mean, this question comes up a lot when I'm talking to people working in the fashion industry. Is like how or to what extent what you do is sort of affected by, say, fast fashion, right? I mean, like, but you're dealing with a very specific, like, use of a dress, right?
Yes,
I mean, you're communicating. I understand it's not just weddings, but you're generally saying like these are special occasion type pieces, things that somebody might wear once or twice, right? At the most. I mean, does that insulate you from having to compete with fast fashion, or is that still something that you have to think about, like where people are able to sort of get these duped dresses that look a lot like what you're doing, but at a much lower price or something like that?
We don't really have to worry about that because I think the quality that the designers are providing are completely different from, let's say, fast fashion quality.
Yeah.
And, you know, if a bride has, let's say, a budget of, you know, X amount of dollars, it's an elevated wedding, she's not going to have a $20,000 bridal gown and, you know, a certain price point,
and
then have an $80 bridesmaid's dress. It's just not happening. So I don't really feel like we have to compete with it. And also I feel like when people are spending the amount of money that they are at Bella Bridesmaids, it is something that they can rewear. You know, the era of bridesmaids dresses, you know, that, you know, you're wearing it for this one wedding, it goes in the back of your closet and you never see it again. Like, that just doesn't really happen anymore. You know, it's not just a chiffon dress that's in a pastel peach color. You know, it's, you know, we have different fabrics and different cuts and things that are trendy now. And so it is current, it's just elevated.
Are people still just kind of wearing traditional wedding dresses, though? I mean, that's, you know, unless you get divorced and remarried, you might never wear that again. But I guess, like, I mean, when you're describing, like, this is sort of news to me that, like, people have moved beyond, at least with bridesmaids dresses, that is. But I mean, like, is the wedding dress still thought of as A single piece. I'm not wearing that again.
That's kind of crazy because now that there's like this little white dress thing, so now people are repurposing dresses, like even from their mom's wedding. So they may wear it for a bridal event.
Wow.
Which I think is the neatest thing.
So it's becoming more common for people to just repurpose these things altogether.
Yeah.
Oh,
or
wow.
even like you can make something out of like a dress. You know, you can make a purse, you can make a handkerchief. You know, like these are sentimental items from like a special day in your life, and some people want to kind of reuse it and not have it just hanging in their closet.
Now, are y'all doing the customization bit too? I mean, if somebody comes in like where they're buying sort of the dress template and really having to set it for the bride, I mean, my vision of this, right, is like a much more, and this is, I got married years ago, but I mean, was that it was an involved process of selection, and even once the dress was selected, there were certain like, changes to the dress, that needed to be made. Are most brides coming in and sort of saying like, this is the thing, this is the piece, I'm wearing that? Or are you guys having to make a lot of alterations to make them work?
So we don't handle alterations at all. We send that all off-site, to referrals. But when people come in, they're measured. So nothing's custom made. It's made to the measurements, specific to the designers. Yeah. So every girl comes in, we take their measurements, and then we send it off to the designer, and then it's made.
So, Blanche, you guys have, speaking of like customizations of typical Renaissance fair kind of things, right? Like, so instead of a Scotch egg, you guys do, as I understand it, a
Cajun egg.
Describe the Cajun egg for us.
So a Scotch egg, for those that don't know, is just a soft-boiled egg wrapped in sausage, breaded and fried. We've taken that concept and we do the soft-boiled egg wrapped in boudin, breaded and fried. Mm-hmm. And then we also have the dragon egg, which is special rib meat around the egg, wrapped in bacon, fried. Or does he smoke those? I'm trying to think.
There's a lot of meat on there. I'm sure no one really notices how it goes.
It's drizzled with hot honey sauce. It is the most fantastic thing I have ever tasted in my life.
Are people coming to the Ren Fair just to get those? Like, do you find that you have I know people that are like, I go to Festival International because I want a bread bowl. I mean, like, are they doing that?
We are having a few people who are specifically for the food, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And is the expectation that they're going to get a turkey leg?
Yes.
Okay.
But I have heard that our turkey legs are some of the best.
What makes a good turkey leg?
I have no idea. I don't cook.
I think you should figure that out so you could try to sell more of it.
Look, we have, actually, Cousin Joe is local. He's a Cousin Joe catering service. He's the one who prepares it.
Like, was this something he was doing already, or did you have to, again, Google, like, who makes turkey legs? And
No, he was a contact of a friend of ours.
Okay.
Yeah, and they work actually together. They run the cart. They do the turkey legs and the Cajun eggs.
Yeah.
And the dragon eggs, yeah.
Yeah.
It's their own secret recipes. I can't give it away.
no one's asking you to. That's okay. Yeah. So, I mean, Annie, as you've kind of gotten into doing it this way, like the franchise thing, I mean, could you imagine yourself having done this kind of shop on your own? I mean, like...
No, not at all.
No.
I mean, that was the beauty of it, is it's a business in a box,
Right.
like it's easy. They've come up with the system. They've gone through, what works, what didn't work, and they provide you kind of just with a blueprint.
Yeah. Is it like starting it? I mean, because you bought it from the previous franchisee, right?
Correct, yes.
So, like, did you have to, like, get a loan to be like, how does that actually work?
Yeah, so there's two parts to it.
Yeah.
So you go through the process with the broker of purchasing the business from the original owners, and then you have to apply for, with the franchise owners, to have your own location.
Right. I mean, and is the idea then that, like, if you become more successful with this, if you're able to grow the business, I mean, how do you grow outside of your own franchise, or is that even on the table, right? Like, if you, like, man, I'm selling a lot of dresses, like, is it, I'm going to buy another Bella's franchise in another location? I mean, I guess I'm looking for, like, what sort of expansion.
That does happen. I mean, there are franchise owners that have, 3 locations in a state, basically, because that's probably the easiest to handle, is if it's probably like in a driving distance.
Yeah.
Because you do need to have your hands on, like, on the business. You need to be there. You need to be involved in the community.
Sure.
So when we first purchased Bella Bridesmaids, and we were talking to the original owners, that was their main thing. They wanted somebody local. They're in Baton Rouge, and their location does phenomenal. And they just weren't able to get back to Lafayette as often. And then, like, with COVID, they were having staffing issues, and they weren't able to have someone in the store as often as they needed. And so when we reached out to them, they voiced that. They voiced wanting somebody local, somebody that's involved in the community, and
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if you want a good business in your town, it's got to feel, local. And you guys have clearly figured out ways to do local spins on age-old concepts. Annie and Blanche, thank you for joining me on Out to Lunch Acadiana.
yes.
Thank you for having
Thanks.
My guests on Out to Lunch Acadiana today have been Annie Bonaventure, co-owner of Bella Bridesmaids in Lafayette, and Blanche Boudreau, creative director of the Acadiana Renaissance Faire. We edited this conversation to fit into our time slot here on KRVS. You can hear our unedited conversation, find out more about Annie and Blanche by listening to the Out to Lunch Acadiana podcast. You can find and subscribe on your podcast app and on our website, itsacadiana.com. If you want to know what we all look like, you can find photos from this show on itsacadiana.com and on our Out to Lunch Acadiana social media. These photos were taken by Alicia Zachary Lazard. You can find more of Alicia's photos on Facebook at alicia.zachary. Out to Lunch Acadiana is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsacadiana.com and KRVS 88.7 FM. The producer of our show is Grant Morris. Our technical producer is Eric Merle. Our associate producer and researcher is Leah Erdialis. Today's show was engineered by Dylan Babineau. I'm Christian Mader, editor of The Current, Lafayette's nonprofit newsroom. And to get the scoop on Lafayette, head over to thecurrentla.com and sign up for our free newsletter. We'll see you here next time for more business and conversation on Out to Lunch Acadiana. See you then.
Out to Lunch Acadiana was recorded live over lunch at Tsunami Sushi on Jefferson Street in downtown Lafayette. Tsunami is open Tuesday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, serving sushi, sashimi, salads, and authentic Japanese grilled dishes. Tsunami welcomes casual dining or reservations. More information at servingsushi.com. Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker. Established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys and offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by J.P. Morgan Chase, a partner in financial planning. Looking ahead to retirement, growing your business, or for commercial banking, J.P. Morgan Chase offers advice and solutions tailored to individual needs and client well-being. More information is at jpmorganchase.com. And by Luba Workers' Comp, a regional insurance carrier dedicated to providing reliable workers' compensation coverage to employers and workers in 13 states across the Southeast. With personalized service, trusted expertise, and tailored solutions, Luba helps businesses protect what matters most. Discover more at lubawc.com. Mitchell Foreman wrote and performs all the music on Out to Lunch. You can hear Mitchell's music anywhere great jazz is sold or streamed, and at mitchellforeman.com.